Welcome to Heal into Happy. I invite you to take an adventure with me into your very own universe as I guide you to go within, release your fears, and become empowered to create a life you love. I am your host, Lark Allen. My intention is to help you shine a light on everything that is keeping you from being truly free. You can expect this healing journey to be filled with love, laughter, clarity, and fun. Are you ready to take a leap of faith? Let's go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to be having a round table of light today. Peter, what did we decide our name is? We're the Light Brigade, right?
Yes, we're the charge of the Light Brigade, like Leo Tolstoy's short work.
Yes, so we are coming together to eliminate and to activate and to offer everyone so much love. Now everyone has had an opportunity to hear Charlyn's podcast, Brandon's, Peter's, and now we are all coming together as the round table to just share that it is possible to create space to have a soul tribe get activated and magnetized together. That's exactly what happened with all of us. And we're just going to discuss that. And we are all calling in our higher selves to have a completely downloaded and magical round table. So welcome, Charlyn and Brandon and Peter. I am so happy to have you on Heal into Happy today.
So glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Happy to be here as well.
Thank you, Laura. We actually have the sun shining like right overhead through the skylight. So we actually have direct sunlight rays coming down to a round table of light. Feels so good.
Nice.
You're getting some DNA activation.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing because they're only, 30, 40 miles east of me here. And it's very overcast, windy. It looks like a totally different day, than it's been of late. Like it was nice spring weather here. Now it looks, kind of overcast, but nonetheless, I trust in everything. The weather here has nothing to do with how things are channeled in from the other side. That's for sure.
It is actually over here as well, Peter. It is overcast, but exactly where we're sitting, the sun,
sunroof.
The sun, there's a skylight in the room that we're sitting in, and the sun is like directly, I'm looking at it right now. And when I close my eyes, I see the flashes of like green and white, and it's just really, it's awesome. And it's a circle of, it's a round light in my vision field when I close my eyes. So this is so perfect.
Everything is, that's great. That's definitely something to, give us hope, and know that we're always guided. We're always surrounded by our higher selves and our guides. And there's no doubt. When you know what you know. And these are just affirmations,
Yes. And we all seek to know what we don't know. At least that's true for me.
Yes. I call it remembering, like we already know all there is to know. We just have forgotten here in our 3D, reincarnational kind of cycle and loop that we've been in for so long. So now it's time to remember what our true selves are and what we really are, and to let that shine out, above the 3D linear, material existences that we thought we were here for, from the time we grew up,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. We are curiously and playfully coming together and helping one another remember. And that's what I love so much about how we all came together, and then how, our chat goes. We're bringing music and laughter and fun, and sometimes like little therapy sessions that are like specifically for one another's needs. And, that's really what I want to come across today, is that these soul groups are forming, and that it is possible for all of us to find one another. And we're kind of feeling like with us, this is a foundation of our soul family, and more people are going to be magnetized to what we're co-creating together. We all need support and to mirror for one another that we are on this epic journey and adventure. And so I'm just so thankful that we have that with one another. And I would love for us to kind of just go around the table and reflect, how that's been for each of us, and maybe something that's been transforming or just a pearl of wisdom to help others really start creating space to have their own groups forming and have that support system all the time.
Yeah.
Charlyn, would you like to go first?
Yes, I'll go first. So the first thing that comes to mind, Lark, is the word trust, and to really trust your intuition that what you feel with someone, even if you don't know them, if they could be a stranger, you get feelings from people. And I feel like just trusting doing this. When I first met Brandon, I just had this automatic, like, I could just see him and like trust. And then the way this whole thing came about, it just felt like a process of ease and grace. For me, this all came together so divinely. And like the ripple effect of you and I connecting, and then bringing Brandon in, and then Brandon bringing Peter in, and all the interactions we have. I mean, I wish that people could see our posts and hear our voice memos, and it's all so nourishing for my soul. Well, I'll speak personally, and I'm so grateful that I trusted this to happen, because you really can't even see what is available for you if you try to think it through, if you try to figure it out. It's like when you really open up and just let it flow, like the most divine, magical, fun, like everything positive that you could possibly want to happen really does happen. I mean, I look so forward to, what's Lark or Peter or Brandon posting today? I look forward to our chats, and it's really, everybody can have this, but you just have to just trust, just allow it. You don't have to know somebody that well to just feel, connected with them. That's like the first thing that just comes to me right now.
Yes, that definitely synced up with like a few of the thoughts I had loading up inside of me to say. So, yeah, I mean, first of all, nothing happens by coincidence or happenstance. It's all very divinely guided. Okay. We didn't meet by accident. It's all magnetic. Like energy attracts to like energy, and the higher your vibrations, that's the type of souls you're going to attract. And we are here now, a group of seemingly four souls, and trust me when I tell you, it's just a matter of, linear time, the perception of linear time passing, where it's going to be 40 people and 400 people and 4,000 people. This is just the beginning of what is to be. Light attracts light to light to light to light. It's like something I discussed with Lark, like a string of Christmas lights always has a plug on one end and a receptacle on the other end. So you could link another string of lights into the end of it and just keep linking them till 1,000 lights on your tree. And that's what's going to happen. Like each light is going to link to another light. Just keep attracting light all around the world. And when you realize that our true self is energy and not physicality, the physicality that we see around us and that we see as our being ourselves is just an illusion, and your energy. So you don't have any limits. There's no space. There's no time. There's no, barriers to where you can go as your true energetic self. You are a being of light energy. And for us to reach somebody that's seemingly thousands of miles away is just as easy as picking up a phone and calling somebody. Once you send out your light, it's received. It is recognized, it's received, and it's trusted on that internal soul level. When you take your head mind out of it and proceed only with your heart mind, which is your soul mind, that everything is easy to know and to sense. And there doesn't even have to be a level of trust, like when ego is involved,
Yes.
That is so, so true. And I was just really called to let everyone know that's listening to the podcast right now that you are a part of our soul family. If you've decided to come and listen to this, and this is something that you feel called to tune into, then we're all a vibratory match. And we're so honored and thankful to have you all as part of our soul family.
Yes. It's not something they're going to be able to refuse. It's like they're just going to be called, and that's it. It's not something that they're even going to have to think about or consider. It's just going to happen. We're magnetic beings. We're all like, picture this gigantic beehive of bees that just intuitively know what the others are thinking and feeling, and that's how we are in our true state. It's only this temporary humanity that we've ingested our true selves into, our consciousness, our eternal self. We've injected it into this temporary physical body that we perceive to be an island, and that we, proceed via our ego in most cases, in most dealings with the world, and that's not our true self, and that's not our true way of being. And once you open up to the oneness that you are with everyone and everything, then you can't help but be attracted to where you're supposed to be. And they will, the souls that are ready to awaken from the illusion that we're born into and the societal box that we're crammed into, and, a certain level of servitude. Once they're ready to awaken from that, we have the red pills for them to take, and until then, they're just going to keep taking the blue pill and reinserting themselves back into their matrix of linearity, of materiality, of certain subjugation and servitude, of other people's beliefs, other people's opinions, other people's expectations of them. And that is not what we were sparked for. We were sparked to be limitless beings and to co-create together and to be happy and blissful and joyful together in any reality that we existed. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people to live in joy and bliss the same way we do when we're not here in this temporary 3D illusion. And that's our goal. And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of, perceived time.
Yeah, Peter, I just coming off of that, when you said connection, like to live in joy, I feel like a big part of what people are missing is connection. And during Brandon's podcast that just dropped yesterday, Lark, you had encouraged the listeners to just go out and start your own group. And like I had said right in the beginning of this recording, just trust, just do it. You feel like you want to reach out to somebody. I encourage people, just, you feel this with this person, just go out, reach out and form your own group. And, groups can connect to other groups, and another group connects to another group. And like Peter, like you said, with the Christmas tree lights, each group, if each little light has 10 lights in it, the exponential effect again of just everything lighting up.
Absolutely. Light to light. Everything in this universe has a frequency, a vibrational frequency attached to it. And like will always attract light. If you keep higher loving thoughts, the thoughts that emanate from your heart chakra, not the ones that emanate from your false, ego, the higher ones, that they will attract those same higher ones. And if you choose to do the other and react from the head mind, from your humanity, you're going to attract lower vibrations. You're going to remain in a state of lack, a state of want, a state of need. These are all beliefs of this illusion. Survival mode, fear, constant want, constant need. How will I get my next dollar? How will I get my next meal? How will I keep a roof over my head? How will my children survive without me? And trust me, you don't have any control over those things. Only your trust and your belief in abundance and your knowing of abundance, rather than belief in materiality and belief in having to struggle, keep all of the abundance that's entitled to you here in this world as a soul. This is what we're here for, to create abundance and not to be, subjugated to unseen power who basically like we're sharecroppers for them. And they allow us to have a certain size piece of land, and they rent us out the equipment that, that they're paying us to till the land with. It's all, a game that we believe in and we subscribe to. And instead we have to be beings of joy and love and show people that light, that there's a different way to live here, but it has to all be collectively free will agreement. It can't just be a part of us. It has to be all of us. We all have to decide that this is going to be a world of love and oneness and peace again, and not of islands and conflict and drama and survival and superiority and power.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I feel like what could be a very beneficial thing to talk about would be, I sometimes can have a little bit of a struggle discerning between my heart minds and my head minds. Sometimes it's very clear. Other times it's not clear, like there's blurred lines. I don't know, maybe at some point we can discuss, to help people that might be having the same struggle as I am. It's like, wait, is that coming from my heart minds or my head minds? And that might sound like, well, can't you tell the difference? And sometimes I really can't. And maybe some people can relate to that also. So
right. I think that when you question it, that's the headline. Like that moment you ask yourself, like, is this coming from the heart or the head? Then that has to be the headline.
That's the answer. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. If you have to ask, you already know.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
for that.
Yeah. I mean, if you have to, like, everything from the heart and everything from within just flows, and you're just at a sense of peace and balance. When you are in conflict, when you feel it going back and forth, like stereo from your head down to your heart and back, then you know that it's not a balanced thought. It's not a synchronous, happy, balanced thought. It's a thought of, like, can I let go of the things that I so strongly believe in of this world that were so important to me? Like financial security, food security, roof over my head security, all these things. Like, trust me, if we all just took care of one another like we do in all the other realities, where materiality doesn't exist, we would have everything we need. But we perceive need to be like constant and bottomless and endless. And it's not that way. It's actually the reverse. Abundance is endless.
Yeah.
Right.
We just, all this complexity and need and fear. It's all fear-based, really. That's it. And it's conditioned by the societal field, by the collective consciousness of mankind. We're born into that belief system, and it's just passed on to us. We come here as open books with no perception of anything, and we're taught how to fear and how to need and how to want.
Right.
For sure.
Nicely said.
Yeah. A clear example is when I just first started off saying trust, trust. So there I know I was in my heart minds because that was so clear to me, and I'm just going to get better at the discernments. And like Brandon just made an amazing great point that really helped me just now is, if you have to question it. So I think people that's like a really good takeaway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty simple, actually. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Yeah. And one thing I will say just to end that, you guys can continue on that thought as much as you want, but like, it's really very simple. If you're not willing to do the inner work, okay, if you're willing to constantly view everything, weigh everything, perceive everything outside of yourself, that is going to be the basis of your existence here for the rest of your days. It has to be done from within, and that's the only way to do it is from within. That's where all your answers on the soul level lie, and you're never going to resolve them or get any real help or answers or peace or balance by seeking outside of yourself. And that goes for anything. That goes with money, food, drama, conflict, power seeking, any of that. It all has to be done from within and not outside of you. If outside of you is the field, inside of you is your eternal true self and the oneness of everything.
Yeah. So Peter, it's almost, would you agree that it's almost like the inner standing as opposed to the understanding?
Absolutely. I know a lot of people are not going to be able to wrap their heads around this, but I'll say it anyway, because it's better to plant a seed and hope that it germinates rather than just keep the seed in your pocket. The only true reality that we truly exist in is inside of us. Everything you see on a physical basis, on an external basis, is illusion that we've created with our God power. Okay? We are sparks of God. God does not exist outside of us. Okay. Religion doesn't exist outside of you. Politics doesn't exist outside of you. Nothing exists outside of you. We created it all. Okay. And it became skewed at a certain point in our soul history here in this particular reality. And we're here to unskew it. Okay. We're here to balance everything now. But the only true reality that exists is the light, and the light that you are. And it's very hard for people to wrap themselves around, because they identify themselves as this physical avatar. They identify their existence by this physical world that's around us. And I tell you, this is just one of countless realities that we exist in at any given time. We're multidimensional beings with no limits, no boundaries. We jump from reality to reality when we're asleep, when our bodies are sleeping here. So, and we can do that in our normal state outside of this world. So that's all I will say about that. Consider that, take it into your soul, and know that I say that with love and a total understanding that it's going to confuse people, and it's going to, fry a couple of noodles initially. Trust me when I tell you it's true. The only true reality that exists, all that you will ever be, is the light. And everything else that you see or think or perceive is illusion, and it's temporary.
I have this quote on my refrigerator that I just wrote out the other day. And it says, "We see the world not as it is, but as we are." And I feel like so strong, and almost like, if not what you're saying, is so close to it.
Absolutely.
Sprung out. I took a piece of paper and I wrote it out. I plastered it on my refrigerator. It's like, it's there right now. And so
everything is individual perception until you realize that you're part of the greatness, the greaterness of everything, the oneness of everything. Yes. And, I will, can I interject one more thing and then I'll be quiet? There are all these books that are written, okay? They all come from the same place. I assure you of that. Like, Abraham Hicks and all of these books, like, they all come from the same place, but they are, to a certain extent, an individual perception based on human belief, okay? And they're individually perceived by the soul when the soul gets to the other side, because they create their initial realities when they get to the other side. So if they believe in horns and trumpets and angels flying around, that's what they see. If they believe in like great halls with Akashic records from, as far as the eye can see, that's what they'll see. And that's what they'll channel through. So, these books that we listen to now that I've gotten you guys, piqued interest and piqued in, the Joseph Communications book, they speak of everything in general, broad terms, not specificity. It's like how things are for every soul, not just how a particular soul might see things when they get to the other side and channel that perception through. So, simple is better. Trust in simplicity.
And in doing so,
not that any of those things are wrong either, by the way. They're not wrong. Everything is a particular choice that you make, and is a stepping stone to get to the place where, you eventually will be. But all I can gently suggest to people is, like, keep it simple. Things do not need to be like complex. They don't need to be ritualistic. They don't need to be ornate. They don't need to be embellished. You just have to keep it simple. And the best way to do that is just to go within. Just be still, be silent, listen to your heartbeat, and then just find your inner light, your no thing self. That's your true reality. And once you wrap your head around that, everything else becomes very simple.
And I love the saying. It goes like this: complexity is the enemy of execution.
That's right. Overthinking with the head mind. Yeah. It's amazing how peaceful everything got when I went within, once I shut off the head.
Shutting mine off right now. Beep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon, I know you're loading up.
Brandon, I would love to hear from you.
All right. Well, as Peter was talking and Charlyn were talking, I think that they covered kind of most of the points that I wanted to convey. For the most part, I'm just trying to remember what I wanted to say because they were talking for a long time. So,
sorry, man.
I'm going to try my best to do this, just to kind of. First, I want to say that there is a sort of science to this. There's a science to what you think, what you feel, almost like you could say it's like a metaphysics, right? And what you're going to magnify or attract, if that's a term that people are more comfortable with, into your reality. Like this is actually, like this is the realest thing. This is more realer than stuff that we think we feel. That this is realer than stuff that we think is real, per se. And when you're talking about, Peter, when you're talking about how, we are creating reality from within, if you're focused too much on external things and, your perception is filled with all of this fear and separation, you're not in your power. But when you realize that you are creating things from within, okay, and that you are solely responsible for your life, your reality, nobody, nothing else necessarily, all that really means is that you're in your power. So you can only be in your power if you're truly thinking, generating, and manifesting from within, to the point that you realize it all is and always was from within, coming from within. And
100%.
If you could take these words into practical application, all that we've talked about here, I will ascertain you that you will see this all for yourself to be, to any of the listeners out there, this to be entirely true. Now, I read the books that Peter was talking about, that, thank God, out of nothing but, beautiful divine synchronicity was meant to happen, that Peter introduced these books to me a few years ago, and I've listened to them multiple times. So I'm also kind of coming from the same basis, the same points of knowing. And I just want to say that, there's people like us out there. We're speaking from our hearts. We're channeling from God, per se. And that there's these wonderful books that essentially, I want to say, may have all the answers that you're looking for, consciously or subconsciously. And
Absolutely.
Another thing, when you were talking, I just remembered now, I wanted to say, very simple. All of this stuff that we're talking about, if it may sound complicated now, the more you realize, and the more you accept how little you actually need, the easier.
Yep.
And
So
we're talking in the beginning, we're talking about forming groups, and groups encouraging other people to form groups, and kind of like the domino effect with the light, at least that's what I'm calling it. The more you realize that you need less, and the more you connect with people, and you realize that if there's anything you do need at all, it's love. Or I call it connection. It's connection. It's community.
Absolutely.
Community versus very skewed, distorted societies. Community over society as we know it. The more all of these fears and these illusions of separation will just literally fall away naturally. It's not that hard. We've just been psychologically programmed and indoctrinated and actually conditioned for, in so many years in so many ways. And we shouldn't really beat ourselves up over it. That's another thing. We shouldn't, people who are aware that, they're aware that they have been programmed. But I dislike that word, but it really gets the point across. You can't be hard on yourself for it. You just come into this world as this innocent little baby child soul, and you love your parents, and you're taught to love school and whatever and the whole thing, and to be proud of yourself and what you're doing. At least that's kind of what happened with me, and I'm sure a lot of other people. So it's not your fault that you love them. So you want to accept their views and their beliefs, and deep down you want to accept or believe that they're just doing their best for you. So the programming, it's not necessarily anybody meaning any harm. It starts from a very young age. Unfortunately, I know that Joseph talks about when we reincarnate back into the field, some people might call it the matrix or whatever names they have for it. It's essentially the same thing, that we forget. We completely, we forget once we're here, once we inject our consciousness here, which our full scope of our consciousness is very limited here in this field at the present moment. We don't really remember the things we know. And we have to kind of be easy on ourselves as we're relearning, or as you would say, remembering the aspects of ourselves, all parts and aspects of ourselves. And the more, we could accept that, we could accept all aspects of ourselves, bringing light, consciousness, maybe even to darker aspects of ourselves. We neutralize, we harmonize them, and then we balance them. And this magnetic effect of souls meeting other resonant souls and coming together and doing great things together, it's all amplified. So I'm not saying anything different from what you said or from what Charlotte said, I'm just kind of alliterating it in a different way that I think another group of people out there will be able to understand it. I look at things in almost like a very like a scientific method kind of thinking way. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just, I am not saying anything different from what Peter's saying or what Charlyn's saying or what Lark is saying necessarily. We're all speaking a message from the heart in a way, or at least I'm doing it in a way that I feel like, a lot of the listeners, if it can make a little spark of a little sense in them to activate their heart, to activate their heart mind. Because I know, like with myself too, and a lot of other people, I was very hard on myself for like feeling like, okay, like I didn't get far enough spiritually per se. But what does it mean when you say I didn't get far? Like everything is spiritual. All of us are fully autonomous spiritual beings. Everything is spiritual. And we realize that when we realize that we have the power and we're manifesting all the time. You can't not be manifesting something.
Right.
You're either you're manifesting that. It's not what you think in literal terms. It's the frequency of that, and that is what's ultimately manipulating the particles and the reality around you to give you're either in victim mode or you're in power mode. Okay. And when you're in power mode, real true power mode, you're actually in love.
Yes.
Because you can't be self-aware truly without knowing being a loving soul.
That's right.
Because that's all
100%.
That's all we really are.
That's all we are. That's right.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say, unless something comes up again.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I like how we're all kind of presenting it from a different angle. From different, like the way Brandon's seeing it, he's presenting it in a more scientific way. So it's nice to have. I don't know. I love this. When everybody gives their viewpoint.
That's the intent. Yeah, that's the intent from the beginning. That's why there's four of us, so we can have the four mirrors are on that same disco ball that I talk about, and they're right next to each other, right? They're glued onto the same little square spot of disco ball, but they each have their own. They're seeing the same thing, but they have their own little angle because the ball is round. So they have to have a slightly different angle. Even if they're two mirrors right adjacent to each other, touching each other, they still have a slightly different take on that very same thing that they know and see. So that's the intent of the four of us being here, so that maybe, whoever's listening can grab something from each person's little vocalization of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the intention in our hearts, that's what really is doing the work.
Yes. You brought up an important thing that should be said, Brandon, about, like, you were talking about being harsh on yourself. Okay.
Right.
And as souls, like, we are not ever to be in a place, because that would only come from ego. We are never to be in a place where we condemn other souls or criticize or judge other souls, or, like, we're all one soul, no matter how somebody treats you, no matter how they come at you. If they come at you with anger, if they come at you with ridicule, if they, come at you with ego and mock you and challenge you, or, wish you harm or think you're ridiculous, whatever. And this could be friends, because this could be family. This could be people that you love and care for. Some people are going to listen to this, and they're, the people that we know, and, they're going to listen to it and they're going to think like we're ridiculous, and that's fine. Whatever other people's opinions are of me is none of my business anymore. I don't care. And you either understand what it is we're trying to tell you, very lovingly and very gently suggesting to you. We're not forcing anything. We can never force. We can never, force a soul to do anything that they're not ready or willing or understanding of to do of their own free will. Okay. It has to be done in free will. But if you're not ready to receive these words and to understand that your true self is within you, and not what you see in a mirror, and not what you touch or what you see, but what you feel within your heart, that's your true self. If you're not ready to understand that, then you're not ready to be a part of what we're doing. And you'll simply vibrate out of our sphere, our personal love sphere. You will vibrate out of it. Basically, like what I said before, you'll be like popping a blue pill back into your mouth and waking up and eating the steak in the Matrix, like like Joe Pantoliano, So right, so that's what you're going to do, and that's fine because every soul is on his own rate of ascension and growth and awareness and awakening, and they do it in their own speed, in their own manner. And we are offering the souls that are ready, that are there, or that are close to being there, to hear these words and know that you have soul family out there that are waiting to be the light with you, to join their light to yours.
I just want to interject, like, what you just try to think about it like it's something that, think of it in terms of maybe self-discovery. It's very ambitious and exciting to get to know. And if you can just tune into that thought, if you could feel that and see if that resonates with you, that it's actually very, it's very ambitious and exciting to get to know yourself and on your soul journey and your path and the beautiful connection between you and all these other people and all the multiple blessings that can blossom from these connections and make connections and stuff. Like, this is not something that should be daunting. It's something that, we should transform that fear of changing our very sturdy and concrete beliefs that give us this illusion of, safety.
That's
or
the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do. We're like the heaven on earth. We're trying to transform this reality into what it originally was intended to be, one of love and bliss and balance. And it's not a self journey, actually. It's when you are on the right path along this journey, it's a journey to oneness with everything. It's not actually discovering yourself. It's discovering that you're a part of everyone and everything. On a soul level.
And I just want to add to that too, which is, again, back to the programming or the conditioning. I mean, it's not that hard to fathom the idea of inner knowing and stuff, and your intuition, which Charlyn was talking a lot about, and how much it has. And I also want to get back to a point later about that with other synchronicities, just to show how real this is. Yeah, but all right, I'll go to another thing regarding the synchronicity. I guess this is what's meant to be said now, is like stuff happening for a reason, like Charlyn introducing me to Lark and then me introducing Peter. That is just like, that's
both
just like,
of them, yeah.
And then you actually said to me on the phone that you received some insight, some guidance psychically, or, in your heart and knowing intuitively that something like this was going to happen, and we talked about a lot about forming groups. On my initial podcast I did with Lark, I talked a lot about, wanting to bring people together. And just one other example of this is I was here at Charlyn's one day, and I had to get to the train station. I didn't have any transportation at the time, so I asked her if she can bring me to the train station. And then we ended up missing the train by the minute, so I had to Uber.
We watched it go by. You're like, bye-bye.
Yeah, it's like oh crap. Excuse my friend.
That wasn't an accident.
No, because I called an Uber, and the Uber driver was like literally like, this is the guy I had to meet, and we were just talking about all this stuff, like stuff that we're talking about similar in the podcast.
See?
It was so synchronistic. Yes. I couldn't even begin to try to depict to you in a mental way how much it was. But he was talking about how, and this is one of many synchronicities I've experienced with Charlyn and just the group and Peter and Lark. But he was talking about how he wants to find community and people. I'm like, oh, you know what? Well, maybe I'm the guy who could help you with that. And we talked the whole time. I showed him
a guy.
Yeah, I showed him the Joseph.
We've got a brigade.
Yeah,
There's the whole brigade.
And I know other people. Yeah. Other people who would be very interesting in starting, forming a greater light, light.
You have no idea how many people there are that are like waiting for this.
Seeking it either consciously or subconsciously. You can't, and if you're not seeking it consciously, how can you not be seeking this subconsciously? Then what else could you possibly be convincing yourself that you need, other than positive human relationships, knowing, observing your connection between all living things? How could you not want, if you look deep in yourself, no matter who you are, what you think, what you believe about yourself, how could you not want a peaceful world of people and animals and just everything just coexisting in harmony with each? Everybody's treated equally. Let's just put it out as it is. There's a lot that's wrong in this world.
Well, fear is a great controller, and it's the predominant vibration of the present, matrix right now. The conscious field of thought of mankind is based on fear and survival, and the field knows this. So you either come into this world to be the light, or you come in to be an unwitting agent of the field, so to speak. Like the field will manipulate you and control you to do its bidding, to keep the vibration where it is comfortable, where it's familiar. The field was once balanced and now has been unbalanced for so many eons and eons that it only knows the imbalance, and it strives to survive at that imbalanced vibrational rate. And it will do whatever it has to. When it sees a point of light, it will swat at it. It will try. So you have to just constantly be aware that the field is going to try and peck at you and eliminate you.
And when it is
just laugh at it.
Yeah. And that slap is another point that, people might need, like maybe a little talk on, like, how do you swat it when it does peck you? Like, oh, here it is again, pulling me down just when I was about to get to where I've been hoping to get to. And then all of a sudden something happens, your back goes out, you hurt your leg, you can't get to the appointment. So to know
it kind of boils down to controlling your responses to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even before that,
within.
It boils down to knowing and understanding the field, because when you know what it does and what it essentially is, then you're going to laugh and like, I ain't going to let that get to me.
Yeah.
Heck nah. It's like, oh yeah, I hurt my back. Oh, well, But what I wanted to say was before Charlyn spoke there, a little bit before you spoke, was what is some way we could describe the field for people to better understand it? But then what I realized is that was already answered, because really the only way to do so really is to take in everything you just said that implicates how it works. And all you got to do is observe that and be open to that idea. Okay.
And you'll understand the field.
You'll understand it, because simply by observing it, there's no mathematical formula for this.
It's basically the quantum of everybody's conscious thought in this reality.
Which should indicate how powerful we are. Yeah.
It's the power of their beliefs, and the field now is believed in to be negative. And if people accept negativity in this reality, and so the field is programmed and as negative, so that it's suffering.
Yeah. Sorry, Peter. If it seems like some outlandish concept, then just observe it for yourself. Think about what Peter was saying before.
Exactly.
And just all you have to do is witness, and you will know. And then when you know, you will diffuse it. You will give it less power. You are giving your soul's true intention more power when you don't give away your power to the field.
Absolutely.
And then the whole point of this is the more that you are able to interject light into places or things, saying in quotes, places or things, where it is needed, the less power the field is ultimately going to have. Because I use the analogy that we're in a fishbowl, we're in a sea of energies, right? All of our thoughts, our feelings, everything is kind of intermingling together, and it's creating this field. So the more that you were able to produce positive vibrations, light, the more you are influencing the field beneficially to influence other people beneficially.
You're trying to you're retipping the balance back to back to harmony. Yeah.
And it might try to backlash, but once you understand this, you're not going to get discouraged when it tries to give you a little bit of a backlash and not knock you off of that point where you are. It's doing that because you are essentially doing the right thing.
And it's like you said before, if you respond to it with further negativity, like anger, upset, whatever, you're only feeding it. If you laugh at it and say, go away, feel, I laugh at you, you're ridiculous. I know you're trying to, you recognize me at the point of light that I am, and you don't like it because you don't want to change. You don't want to revert back to what we programmed you originally to be, but you're not going to get the better of me, So that's it. I'm moving on with my day, and you didn't ruin my day, and I'm just laughing at you.
And for listeners, you could actually look it up right now. You can go on Google and you can type in Joseph Communications, the definition of what the field is, and then say, oh, why is the field like that? Why, you could look up the definition of the full the field and the fall, because like these are two central concepts that if we understand our whole entire, what we believe we know about the world will change rapidly. And then when you understand who you are, you're empowered and you can change.
I've met so much resistance because you really have to be very careful what you say to people, like, and how you imbue your words with love. Because if you say certain things to certain people and it's not imbued with love, it's only going to reach them on an ego level. Mm-hmm. And I've had people look at me like with such a look on their face because I've told them, and I realize it's my fault, but I've told them, like, what you think you only believe, and what I know. And they think like I'm being arrogant. They think that, and they ask me for proof. And I tell them, you're looking for like earthly means. You're looking for means outside of yourself for me to prove what I'm saying is true. You're looking for scientific means. You're looking for logical means. And none of these things that I'm telling you can be proven outside of yourself. They can only be done with inner work, with shadow work, going within. And that's the only way you're ever going to know what I know. Until then, you live in a belief system that's built on a foundation of other people's beliefs and wants and needs and fears. And it's that simple. You're just going to continue to be a sharecropper in this world. And until you know what we know, then you're going to be free. Then you're going to be sovereign. You're going to be able to create your own reality of love and happiness around you. And you're going to attract your soul family. And you're going to end your suffering and your fear and your need and your want. And you're going to live in abundance once you do that. Until then, you're just part of the matrix. You're Joe Pantoliano eating the steak, and thinking it's real, and right. And it's really that simple. It's a decision that you make when your soul is ready, and anything we say may or may not lead a soul to that place. But you can only hope that when you plant a seed, it germinates, and that a soul is ready to hear it and do it and be it. And they have to do that inner work. That's the only way to know instead of believing.
I think a really great thing to interject into this right now is an inspired action step, which I love to give to my listeners. And that is, if you're feeling any resistance around anything that we're saying, then that is what we would call a trigger. And our triggers are a place in us that are craving to be explored. And so a wonderful way to do that is by journaling and getting down to the basis of everything, which is community and which is love. And so you can journal. And what is the thing that you're desiring the most in the world? And write that out. And then ask yourself to go deeper. And as you're going deeper, you're dropping more out of your head and your egoic mind and into that heart space that is the center of us, where our soul resides and where we are able to really feel the love that we've been infusing into this podcast. And so go deeper and say, well, why do I want that? And then journal that out. And you're going deeper and you're going deeper and you're going deeper. And in the end, it's just you in the present moment. And you're seeking and you're desiring to feel how loved you already are by God, and to find a community where that is being reflected back to you. And that is what's priceless. And that is what's free.
That was a great interjection. Wow, that was great. And it's such a great tool what you just described, because that journaling of each step is like breaking down the layers and the complexity and the want and the need, and eliminating all of that and getting you to the answer, which is love. That's all you need. You need love. We need love, and we need each other. We're not islands, and we don't exist, autonomously from each other. We need each other in love. That's what we are. We're oneness and love. So
absolutely.
Thanks for that, Lark.
When we get to that point, then whatever's being presented to us in the news or by our family, we can choose to say, I do not consent. I'm pivoting away and I am doing this because I know my why. I know what I desire. And that is love, and that is community, and that is grace and compassion for myself in this now moment. And also, a big thing that I wanted to share is, yes, we are all awakening more and more and more every day. So definitely do not judge yourself for wherever you are on that spectrum of awakening, because there's never like this point of like all awake. Like, we keep awakening more and more and more. And we've been programmed away from fully loving and embodying our higher self and loving everything. And so until you're completely blissed out by just experiencing, the present moment and just feeling how powerful and electric that we all are, it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And we can keep increasing our, like all of our senses, like truly feeling that love. And it's so powerful. And, this journey is ever unfolding and we're constantly blooming. And I loved that you all brought up the awakening part with no judgment and just compassion and love for where we are. And if you're listening to us right now, you are further along in your journey than you think you are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And we're all with you. We're all with you. Even people we've never met, people we might never physically meet or be introduced to or speak to. We're all with you. We're all one. There's no the illusion of separation is just that. It's an illusion. Love unites us all at a soul level.
So good. So received. So good.
Great stuff, guys.
All right. So we're going to wrap it up. Any last thoughts? And we will definitely be bringing more roundtables to my podcast, because I feel like different perspectives all coming together and shining brightly with just imbued love and light from God is what we're all bringing. And, it's just so much more strong and powerful when we all come together and share our individual pearls of wisdom. So we'll definitely be back, but let's, each
Absolutely.
give a little parting remark, and then we will sign off.
Yeah. So I just want to say that God is truly that central point of focus, the dot within the circle. And we are exactly that too. If it's beneficial, it's for an individual, which in turn is beneficial for everybody else. It is coming from God, and it's only coming from the divine spark of God that is ultimately and essentially within you. And it can't be any other way. It also can't be any other way in the sense that, if it is good for you, then it has to be good for the collective, the whole. It has to be something that originated from the God source, the spark within you.
Absolutely.
If it's anything but that, it's kind of feeding into the whole illusion. The illusion of our beliefs and what our egos try to perpetuate, and what the field tries to perpetuate with our egos. The ego is kind of the lapdog of the field, as Peter once said. And you're either operating from love, that God spark within you, that's within everybody, or you're operating from negative from frequencies that aren't really aligned with the true source. So as long as your words and intentions are aligned with the true source that is within you and never separate, you as an individual fragment or fractal, as some might say, of God, then you are doing your work and you are doing a good job, and you will feel a sense of gratification in doing so and truly knowing that you are doing so. You cannot possibly feel unsatisfied with that, especially if you have every intention of awakening. Yeah. So it's when we talk about spiritual responsibility, to give it a term, again, it's like that missing piece. It's like that missing element that people don't know that they're looking for. So when they're not satisfied with their lives, well, you have to kind of look inside and see. There's no other way. You're never going to, more money, this, that, you're never going to solve the problem. The problem is your belief in your separation from all that is within, above, below you, and around you.
Correct.
So
correct.
That's kind of the meat of the message. And I just wanted to kind of quantify that, to sum that up a little bit, because it's such a simplistic and important message. And it's kind of the central focus of all, let's call it light work, just to give it a very simple definition or explanation.
Yes.
I just feel so very, just to seal it off, I just feel so very, very honored. I really enjoyed this, and I hope the listeners feel the enjoyment we had giving this out. And thank you, Lark. Yes.
Thank you.
So good.
Yeah, thank you, Lark, for being Lark and providing us with this opportunity. And I just want to say thank you to all the souls who, even if they're not fully willing to take the message in, just to listen to us and us to allow our messages to transcribe.
Absolutely. Yeah, just for giving us some time. Yes, absolutely. Can I inject one last thing? My closing statement. I feel this is important. This just like into my inner being, to be said. When I was a kid, I was born into the Roman Catholic illusion faith thing, and I went to catechism and I actually won a medal. I was at 8 years old or whatever I was like the second. I won like a medal, a silver medal for being the second highest student in catechism in New York State, which I have no idea what that meant. So, but at any rate, all of my adult life, basically, like once I was old enough to think clearly and not be influenced by others, I had a disdain for religion and I had a disdain for God because I associated God with religion. And I also associated God as being some deity that imposed guilt and imposed restrictions and imposed things on our lives. And as I grew older, I realized that God is just a term. Like God is the is, it's not masculine. He's not our father. He's not our mother. It's the universe. It's the energy. It's the is. It's everything. You can't define what God is. And God is not part of religion. God has nothing to do with religion. Religion is a man-made, concept of control, and it's been used for more evil than it ever has been used for good. And God is within you. It's not outside of you in some dogmatic scripture or some ritual or some building or some belief system. God is within you. And that's what God is. God simply is. And that's the only way you can describe God or understand God or quantify God on a human level with your head mind. With your heart mind, you just go within and you know what God is. That's all I will say to people who are like vacillating between their indoctrinated beliefs from the time they're a child to what I just said. Okay. And if you look into the Joseph Communications, for instance, he will tell you the same thing, that religion is a nonsense and it has nothing to do with God, and that God is not a man or a woman or anything you can quantify with words. God simply is. That's it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, the Catholic Romanism ideology distills many complete inversions of what the truth is. And the only way to find God...
It's not just that. Yeah, it's not just that. It's all religions are controls. Basically, they're all meant to divide people and to segregate people from one another. This is your belief system and this is what's right. And those people over there don't believe what you believe. So we have to go and pillage them. That's basically what religion has been over the ages.
The way I see, if I can just describe God in a couple sentences, is that he's all forgiving and all understanding. That there's really he's so beyond any of this stuff that, that there's absolutely no need for anything other than what we can put into terms of forgiving and understanding. And that completely goes with the Catholic Roman ideology. And it's, more modern, maybe not totally just modern, present day ideology is presenting to people, and it's keeping people trapped, and they think it's it's good for them, but that's anything but the truth. And you can only find God from within, and the idea that God is separate from you it is completely like great core of this illusion. The illusion with all the other illusions together, kind of like the glue that's other illusions together that are doing anything but actually increasing the quality of our lives and those around us.
Right.
Totally agree. God is love, and love is what we're returning to. And that is what we imbued in this entire podcast. And so it is really so simple and so pure. You can just drop into the present moment and just, feel your own pulse and you're going to feel the whisperings of that love that is just pulsating through you, and your heart is pumping through you. You are that, and that is love, and love is God.
That's it. Very true. That's it. God is. Yeah.
We are.
And, it's frightened a lot of people away from going on a journey within, because they associate God with religion. They don't associate God as being them, but we're all part of God. We are all God. We're the little mirrors on the disco ball. God is the disco ball, and we're the mirrors, and that one can't be without the other, So, yeah, that's, once people understand that, it'll be a lot easier for them to go on their own personal journey of knowing, when they dissociate religion with it all.
Right. And when we don't fear to go inside, often we may fear, coming across where we've been hurt, place that we don't want to see, we don't want to sense. But it's the utmost liberating thing you can do so, to do so without fear.
Absolutely. Going within is the anti-fear. Yeah. You lose fear of death. You lose fear of lack. You lose fear of need. You lose fear of everything. You lose fear of control.
Even those things that we perceive to be so frightening and painful experiences, and when we just know that as experience and we don't judge that experience, makes it so much easier to if this is the right word, to overcome. So when we don't judge it, this experience was negative, this experience is positive. Like, experience is experience. It's what you extract, what you take, and what you learn from it that's going to determine your rate of progression in your growth, in your trilogy of life, per se. Your Akashic record, good stuff. Just experience.
Absolutely.
And go inside. Don't be afraid. Close your eyes, and when you wake up and you open your eyes, you're going to feel better than you ever did, and everything is just going to flow, and you're going to realize, oh God, even laugh. This is so simple and easy. It's like, what the freak did we invest all this time and energy in investing time and energy into pain and suffering? It's all essentially a co-created choice to do so.
It's like you just.
It's all that simple.
In agreement.
It is. Thank you, Lark.
Thank you all so much for being on. Brandon, Peter, Charlyn, and I are offering everyone so much love and so much light. Thank you for joining me today on Heal into Happy. My prayer is that you have gained more insight into your healing journey, and that you are one step closer to loving yourself more fully in this now moment. And if you could do me a favor, please leave me a 5-star review over on iTunes. My passion is empowering others on their healing journey, and with your review, you may help others struggling to heal find this message. Be sure to visit me at healintohappy.com for past episodes and more ways to connect with me. Also, please always remember that I am offering you so much love and light as I celebrate the divine sovereign being that I see in you.